Good morning to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our video discussion this morning. Today is January 21st, 2025. Lots of things to talk about this morning with the United States weather, especially across the South right now. A historic winter storm is now bringing blizzard conditions to portions of southern Louisiana. Yes, you heard that right. As we talked about, a major winter storm to impact the South, and it looks like it got more than just major. Now, certain areas are seeing blizzard conditions. Certainly a very historic situation unfolding across the South. Let's get started with going over what's happening right now. And just to sum it up in terms of what's happening right now, just look at this map by the National Weather Service. This is all of the watches and warnings in effect right now. First of all, the extreme cold we have throughout the entire Midwest, northern Midwest, and even across portions of the South as well. Lots of cold air in place, a very historic polar vortex air mass that's extending all the way down south into the Gulf Coast, which is why we have a winter storm taking place right now. And you can see watches and warnings once again extend all the way from southern Texas to literally the North Carolina Outer Banks. Something truly historic. And we even see portions of northern Florida in winter storm warnings as well. It's truly something you'll probably never see again, at least for many, many years to come. But what's probably most historic about this is what's going on in southwestern Louisiana, where the National Weather Service actually issued a blizzard warning for portions of southwestern Louisiana and even southeastern Texas. The National Weather Service Lake Charles office. A blizzard warning is in effect until noon today because there are frequent gusting winds up to 35 miles an hour. And of course, with heavy snow, especially with banding heavy snow that's occurring right now across Louisiana, the visibility is being significantly reduced, thus prompting a blizzard warning. And really, if you're in this area, stay off the roadways is the best thing I can suggest to you. If you don't have anywhere to be today, don't be on the roads because it is very treacherous, especially to travel in blizzard conditions. They even highlight this: roads, especially bridges and overpasses, will likely become slick and hazardous. And once again, if you don't have to travel today, please don't do so. And that applies for pretty much the entire South right now that is in winter storm watches and warnings, especially across portions of Florida where they're potentially not only looking at snow but even ice accumulations. And that also not just includes Florida but the Southeast too. But we'll go over that in just a moment. So let's see conditions, what to expect. For instance, in Houston, there's still a winter storm warning in effect right now, although the snow has kind of tapered off. Let's actually look at the radar right now, since we're going to move on to that. Here's the latest radar picture, and you could see, especially over southwestern Louisiana, you could see a heightened band taking place there, so probably heavy snow rates combined once again with gusty winds. Makes sense why they put a blizzard warning in effect for portions of southwestern Louisiana. Certainly very historic. Certainly probably one of the top weather events that everybody's going to discuss this year once the year 2025 is finished. But you could see heavy snow now taking place across most of Louisiana. Snow also has begun to set in, heavy snow at that too, over eastern Louisiana and the New Orleans area, and now extending into the Mississippi Gulf Coast across southern Mississippi as well. Snow is beginning to fall. And what's also quite remarkable is just look at how vast the field of snow precipitation extends all the way into the Carolinas. They're starting to see snow showers, and everybody talked about this, of a lot of the models, especially the mesoscale models, not picking up on the amount of precipitation that is actually occurring, and the fact that the models as well have all uptrended significantly within the last several model runs. not only for what's going on in Louisiana, but potentially for the Southeast as well. And a lot of people point out to the fact that there's already precipitation occurring, and a lot of models don't show precipitation extending this far east until later today. We'll go over that in just a moment, but regardless, snow is beginning to fall across portions of the Gulf Coast right now, besides Louisiana, and this storm will continue to move eastward as the day goes along. Eventually, snow will begin to fall in Florida. It's actually already beginning to fall in portions of far northwestern Panhandle, but eventually it'll move into the Panhandle, and then it'll move into Georgia and the Carolinas, where they could also potentially get a few inches of snow, especially now. It looks like this winter storm might be uptrending for the Carolinas coast, but we'll go over that in just a moment. Really quickly, though, I want to go over some of the snow totals that have already come in. This is by the National Weather Service. These are literally the official snow totals that people are reporting right now on the ground. Let's see, out of Houston, 4 inches. So it looks like Houston got pretty decent amount of snow. And if we look at the radar right now, snow still falling in Houston right now. Looks like it's beginning to taper off, and it'll probably move out of the Houston area in the next several hours. But it looks like when all is said and done, they'll probably get anywhere between 3, 4, and probably some locally higher amounts as well. Look at that, 5.5 inches in Vidor, Texas. So already some areas across southeastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana clocking in already at around 4 to 5 inches. And you can see on the radar, they still have a little bit of time left before the snow moves out. So definitely expecting portions across southern Louisiana to probably end up with 5, 6, maybe even locally higher amounts of 7 inches. And then eastern Louisiana across New Orleans, not yet any official snow totals, at least out of New Orleans, but we are getting some reports near there. Baton Rouge, or at least close to Baton Rouge, Oak Hills Place, Louisiana, 1.5 inches, and also half an inch, or that's an old report. This is the more recent one, just over half an hour ago in Mandeville, Louisiana, 1 inch. And there's also a report out of Mississippi right now, also within the last half hour, 1.1 inches out of Picayune, Mississippi. And we'll probably see more totals come in over the next hour or so as the storm begins to move to the east. So generally, snow beginning to fall over southwestern Louisiana, and it's prompting a winter storm warning, blizzard warning, I should say. There are winter storm warnings in effect for the entire Southeast, but a winter storm warning in effect for southwestern Louisiana. Who knew? Who knew? Very crazy times we're living in. But really quickly, just one more look, and see they have also a page on how to measure snow. Because I mean, not a lot of people, especially, are really familiar with having to measure snow, especially if you're in Louisiana. This is a very rare and first time occurrence for many people. But what I'm trying to see is the expected snow totals. Oh, we'll just look at that with the modeling. So let's actually go to the GFS modeling for right now. Here is the latest frame. This is as of this morning, Tuesday. Let's move it into time. Storm begins to slide east. Looks like probably the heaviest snow will occur this afternoon over portions of eastern Louisiana, especially the New Orleans area. And then the snow really begins to fall over the central Gulf Coast, and then it slides this evening into tonight. We begin to see snow fall across portions of the Carolinas coast, and then we move it into time. Snow falling over Georgia, Carolinas, and the weather begins to taper off for the Gulf Coast. And then something to watch as well is you see all these pinks and purples. That is sleet and freezing rain. And I guess the GFS is not really good at picking it up. Let's actually go move to this. This shows the sleet and the freezing rain a lot more. And you can see widespread areas across northern Florida, southeastern Georgia, and the Carolinas coast. There is a lot of sleet and freezing rain. And this is very important because if you want to talk about hazardous winter weather, that's it right here. It's even more hazardous than snow. And in fact, the GFS in some areas forecasts as much as a quarter to a half an inch of freezing rain accumulations or ice accumulations across northern Florida and the southeast. And that has very negative implications for the roads. It's extra slick, and it also weighs down on power lines too. So we might see power outages across the southeast. And then tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon, the weather finally moves out. And then seems like by tomorrow evening, heading into Thursday, weather conditions finally clear out, and we won't have to deal with this winter storm any longer. But I really quickly want to show you just how much of an interesting thing this might be for the southeast. And this is just going to bring up the NAM 12 kilometer. Just going to really quickly move through. Looks like the heaviest snow once again over New Orleans this afternoon slides east, and we really begin to see a lot of freezing rain and sleet occur over the southeast roughly this evening into tonight. And then it seems like snow begins to fall over the Carolinas overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And then by late tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon, the snow clears out and the winter storm is out off to sea and out of our hair. But I really quickly want to back it up. I want to bring it to this frame specifically when the snow is falling over the Carolinas. Watch what happens when I just bring it back 2 or 3 model runs. Look at this. This is this time yesterday. This is the 12Z run as of yesterday. And notice how barely any snow they showed for the Carolinas and for especially Georgia. They had the freezing rain over northern Florida. That's a threat that we all knew about for at least a few days now. But notice they barely show any snow for the Carolinas. And then fast forward a few model runs and notice just how much they began to uptrend on precipitation over the Carolinas. And this is very problematic because a lot of people probably were not expecting that there would be any snow tomorrow to fall, especially if you're in the Carolinas. And now we're looking at potentially, let's really quickly just move this out till the storm moves out of the way. And let's look at the snow totals. Some areas, especially across the Carolinas, potentially could see 4 to 6 inches. Very skeptical about these totals that show anything more than 10 inches. That's probably just noise that includes sleet. I mean, it says here it includes sleet, so don't think that we're going to have 20 inches of snow fall across portions of northern Georgia and southeastern Georgia and northern Florida. This is probably just noise in the model. But specifically over the Carolinas, look at how many areas that the NAM at least has 4 to 6 inches for. So decent amount of snow accumulations across the Carolinas and across the South. That, let's just go a few model runs back, they barely had any snow, except if you were along the immediate coast. Very interesting turn of events, especially when it comes to the weather. And it really just goes to show just how quickly things can change, sometimes over the course of even a day. So because of that, if we go back to the National Weather Service map, there are indeed winter storm warnings in effect for the Carolinas coast. And let's really quickly see what the National Weather Service forecast is. 4 to 6 inches, depending on where you are, right along the Outer Banks, especially 6 to 8 inches of snow. Let's really quickly move it down to South Carolina, and let's see the winter forecasts. Do they have it? No, but anyways, probably around 4 to 6 inches as well, and also wind chills too. And this is going to be another thing to keep in mind. This is the wind chill for South Carolina tomorrow, or at least tonight into tomorrow. Look at that, 10 lower teens, maybe some areas seeing single digits in terms of the wind chill, especially with all that snow on the ground. And this is going to be the case across the entire South once this winter storm moves out tonight into tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. Cold air is going to remain in place, and that probably means all of the snow and ice accumulations are not going to melt fast, if at all, until the end of the weekend. We talked about that yesterday, but that is only going to make things a lot more sticky and a lot more, uncomfortable, especially if you're not a fan of the cold weather before things begin to warm up next week. But if you're in the path of snow, if you are under a winter storm warning, especially, definitely don't stay home. And especially if you're in Southwestern Louisiana and you're under a blizzard warning, definitely stay off the roads, stay warm, and stay safe. And we'll continue to have updates throughout the week. Maybe I might post another update today. If not, I'm on Twitter, Danilo Evangelista, the same name as I have here on YouTube, and you could follow me easily. And if you like what you saw today, if you thought today's video was informative, also share with family and friends, especially if they're in one of these warned areas and you want to give them information about what to expect with this winter storm. You could share this video as well to them. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay warm, peace, love, and kindness to you all, and we'll talk again very soon.